Here is the turbo intercooler. Like some people call it a Y pipe. It looks more like an H pipe to me. Took all the gizmos out because I'm going to try to polish all this grit out of here. If you look inside there, you might be able to see it. It's just all granular. It's straight out of the casting. Hasn't been cleaned up at all. So as long as I'm trying to tune the truck up, I might as well clean this up. I'm going to try to buff it out with flap wheels. It's going to be a job. It might work, it might not. Alright, I polished it up some. You can see through there. Still not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. I can go further if I want to. I can't reach in all the way. This pipe got in there pretty good. Strangely, the longest one was easier than the short ones. The short ones, once I tried to go around the bend, I couldn't go any further. So in there in the middle, I'm going to have to do that with the Dremel tool. This is a little bit too big. You can see it's too big, but if I just push it in like so and then give it a little bit of air, it just sort of squirts right in there and makes a nice press fit. So it just goes in and out like that on the inside. And I cleaned up out here too a little bit, try to get that so it has a better seal. It was really rough. I can't imagine getting a good seal on there. So I cleaned that up. I left it rough enough so that the plastic can dig in, the rubber. I cleaned these up too. Alright, so now I'm going to work on it with a Dremel. Hopefully get that cleaned up a bit better inside. It'll be definitely better than it was. Now when you do this I bought a 60 grit flap wheel. It's 3 inches, just too big, but like I said, you can squeeze it in there. And I bought a bunch of them, but it looks like one of them is going to be more than enough to do the job. So for the inside, I've got these little Dremel gizmos on the end of my flexible shaft. See, with that I can reach way in there and I can get all the little places. You can see I'm actually reaching all the way through. So I'm going to work on that for a while. Alright, here's the finished product. At least it's as good as it's going to get. It's not a mirror finish. There's still some irregularities in there. But it's not bad. Definitely a lot better than it was. Before, it's like sandpaper in there. Coarse, very, very coarse sandpaper. This is what I used to do it. Air drill with a flap sander, 3-inch flap sander. Just one of them, and there's still life left in it. A Dremel tool with an extension, flex extension. If you could find one of these that would fit a drill and get small flap sanders. This one was just right for a lot of stuff. It was too big for some things. I had to switch to using this to get down into some little crevices. This didn't work so great though. But this worked pretty good. So the funny thing is that this little Dremel tool costs as much as this big one. They were both about $7 each. I'll tell you folks at Dremel, if you want me to use more of your product, you're going to have to price it more reasonably, because I only use Dremel if this only thing will do the job. Because these big tools are so much cheaper than the Dremel. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to put it in the truck. Alright, getting ready to put this intercooler turbocharger connector in. Put the new hoses, but I didn't use the clamps that were sent with it. Here's the factory hose with it's just got worm drive clamps on it, which I thought was sort of weird because these are the original factory clamps off the rest of the intercooler. So if you need heavy duty clamps like this on the intercooler, why don't you need them on the manifold pipes? So instead of using the worm drives that came with it, I'm putting these nice heavy duty clamps on there. I've decided there's room if I put the this part to the back. So I'm going to put it in. Somebody knows some reason why I shouldn't, use those, let me know and I'll take them off. Alright, the intercooler tube hoses and manifold hoses are all installed. I cleaned this thing all up. Polished this gizmo on the inside. Nice new heavy duty hoses. These are supposed to handle 150 pounds of boost and be completely oil resistant. Shouldn't have to change this again. So here are the old ones. They don't look that bad actually. They're a little soft. There is a little bit of evidence that it's coming apart in the middle, but you can see by the grease all over them that they were leaking. So again, I took the truck out for a test drive last night, and the lower intercooler tube blew off. Right here, that just popped right off. I only had it set to right there. That's where the factory one was. If you see the factory one, it's got a ring in here, a little ridge. It fits right in there, so when you clamp it, it can't go anywhere. This heavy-duty job that I got from dieselsite.com does not have that ridge. It's supposed to, according to the website, it's supposed to hold to 50 psi with a single clamp. This blew off. I don't think I got anywhere near 50 psi unless something got stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double clamp it. I have the extra clamps still from the factory install. These came with brand new ones. So I'll just cut this back, cut the insulation back enough so I can double clamp. It's the same on both ends. So on both sides, both ends, I'm going to double clamp that. Now I tore off some of the aluminum tape that had this hold this together because it was looking pretty ratty. I'm going to clean that up and retape it. Cut this back, put the new boots on, double clamp it, give it another test drive. See you later. Alright, I've retaped. Now I put it on by hand, but I found over the years that if you try to really smooth down your aluminum tape by hand, you end up with a bunch of micro cuts all over your fingertips. So the edges of that aluminum tape are sharp. It doesn't seem that way, but if you rub back and forth like this, you're going to cut your thumb, cut the skin. It doesn't, usually it doesn't make me bleed, but it does make the fingertips sore. So anyway, smooth it down with cotton gloves. Now I'm getting ready to put these in. Now I used the nice band clamps for the manifold tubes. It's supposed to have the worm drive clamps on there, but there's no room to double clamp in the manifold, so I put the heavy duty clamps that I took off the original equipment. So I'm just going to have to double this up with a worm drive. That should be adequate. For the rest of it, I've got enough of these to double up with. Alright, it's back in and double clamped top and bottom. You notice there's only 3 clamps up here. This is not double clamped. There's a nice ridge right here. There's a nice ridge right here. So this is going to hold pretty good. Now this is the ridge that's on the pipe. Here's where the normally... Damn, I'm going to have to do this over again. Alright, start over again. Okay, here we are. We've got the pipe back in and double clamped. It's not double clamped on the aluminum part. There's a nice ridge right here to hold that clamp from sliding off. This is where the factory clamp would have been on the other side. It's just sort of a straight shot that could pop off, but there's a big ridge for the hose to butt up against. I clamped behind that. So I did that there and down in the bottom. You can't see it. So hopefully it won't pop off this time.